and welcome back to my channel and a new video. So this is one of the most exciting videos on my channel, I think, and it's the book haul video. I love watching these. I think you guys love watching these. Just so fun, hear other people talk about all the books they bought, and you don't feel as guilty for buying books if you know other people is doing it. So I have quite a few books here that I've accumulated over the last couple of months. If you are one of those people that watch like all of my videos, you will have seen all of these because I usually do haul them as I go, like in reading vlogs, and some of them I showed in my book shopping vlog and just like other videos. But I thought some people enjoy just watching book hauls, and then I will show you all the books that I've got in the last couple of months. But yeah, I have read quite a lot of these and I have showed a lot of these in other vlogs and stuff, so it's not like I got them yesterday. They have been on my shelves for quite some time now, but I do want to collect a certain amount of books before I do a book haul, so that, you know, I don't do it too often. But yeah, here are some books that I've gotten quite recently. The first book I got is The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown in Swedish. This is a Swedish hardback that I found for almost free at this like thrift store when I was away with my family. They had like all of this furniture, they had books, they had much things, and I found this one. It's not like a super well condition, like it looks fine, you know, but I didn't want to spend too much money on this because I just wanted to have this series in Swedish by Dan Brown, you know, if I ever wanted to read it in Swedish. And I found this copy for really cheap. I have read this book, actually borrowed my dad's copy, but then I had to return it because it was his copy, and then I bought my own one. But I have read this, I really enjoyed it, then watched the movie, really enjoyed that as well, and now I just want to read it in English as well. But yeah, I thought I would have the Swedish one on my shelf. It feels really good, and even though I'm not a big fan of the cover of this entire series, I'm glad I have it on my shelf. And at that same thrift store, I found The Lost Symbol by Dan Brown. So these were the two that I could find. I couldn't find anyone else in the series. And this one is in not as too good condition. I don't know if you can see, but it's definitely a little bit more beaten up and a little bit more used, but it's fine because I barely paid anything for it. So again, I really wanted to have this on my shelf. I only have these two as for now, but I really want to collect all of this series in Swedish, and I have not yet read this book. I actually do own it in English and I really want to read that. But yeah, I am glad I have it in my collection. The next book I got was House of Hollow by Kristen Sutherland. I actually recently read this and I really enjoyed it, even though it wasn't anything too special. I think I had too high expectations because it's really hyped up and I really thought it was going to be more than it actually was. I mean, look at it, it's very small. So it wasn't a whole lot, but it was definitely a really cool, dark, and a little bit creepy fantasy. We basically follow these sisters, and when they were young, they went missing. And, you know, people presumed them dead, they didn't know what happened, but after a while they got back, but they were different. It was the same girls, but they were different. The appearance were changing, their eye color were changing, their hair was changing, and, you know, their father thought something was up. Now they are a little bit older and they're spread across the world, and they are trying to find out what actually happened to them when they were gone, because they possess this kind of magic, and that happened after they went missing. So you kind of follow these sisters as they're trying to find out what the hell happened to us when we were away. Were we taken? Why did we get magic? Like, what is going on? And I thought it was a really good book, I did, but I don't think it lived up to the hype that is this book. The next book I got is Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. This is one that I haven't read yet. It's actually on my TBR super high up. I really need to get to reading it soon, but I haven't, and I have no idea what this is about. Usually with Colleen Hoover, you have heard a lot of things about books, but this one I haven't heard a lot about, and I think I haven't wanted to learn about it because I kind of want to go in not knowing too much, and I don't want to read reviews. I don't want to hear what anyone else is thinking because I want to create my own opinion. So don't know what this is about. I don't know anything about it. I haven't read it, but hoping to get to it soon. I mean, all of the Colleen Hoover books I've read so far, I have really enjoyed, and it has made me an emotional mess, and you know that if you have watched my reading vlogs. Yeah, but I'm excited to read it eventually, hopefully soon. The next book is also by Miss Colleen Hoover, and this is Reminders of Him. I believe this is like the newest book of hers, and I have read this one. If you have watched my channel, you know that I did a separate reading vlog for this book, and this book destroyed me. It freaking destroyed me. I am still not okay. As you can see, I have tabbed a lot of it and annotated it. It was just a lot. I still am not over this book. It was just so much more than I expected it to be. Didn't know a whole lot about it when I got into it, but it turned out to be so good and so emotional, so sad and heartbreaking, but also inspirational and hopeful. Such a good story, and just brings out all of the emotions, you know? And it was so like mature. I think, you know, with other Colleen Hoover books, I felt like it was about a boy and a girl, and that's great, like it's great, but this was so much more. It was about a mother who lost her child, who's trying to get her back. It was just a lot more content, context, content, whatever. It was just a lot more depth to this book, I would say, and I highly recommend reading it if you haven't, but I do warn you, it's extremely emotional. The next book I got was Layoverland by Gabby Noon. I have never heard of this author. I do think it's her debut novel, and I actually just finished this one this morning, so it's really fresh in my head. And I'm talking about this in this week's reading vlog that will already be up once this book haul is up, because I don't think I'm gonna post this book haul right now because I have so many other videos planned. But this, what drew me into this was, first of all, the cover really got to me. It looked really cool, and then the story sounded really cool. So we basically have Beatrice, and it starts with a prologue where you follow Beatrice is driving in her car. She's really emotional, so she is really mad at herself because she's ruined her sister's life, and her sister is her best friend, and you don't know like what happened. You just know that, oh, she's a mess. How do I get back to my sister? Like, how to make things right? And she's really emotional, and then she crashes with her car. And then chapter 1 starts, and she's woken up in an airplane, and no one at the airplane seems to know where they're going, and then they land at this airport, and still no one there seems to be able to answer her question to where the hell are we. All she gets is, oh, we're at the airport. Yeah, but which airport, what country, like what state, where are we? But no one really can answer her question, and she's obviously frustrated about that. But happens to be that she died in that car accident, and she is sent to this Layoverland that is kind of in between before you go to heaven, before you move on. So she was sent here to help other people move on, to help other souls to move on, and she has to, I think it's help 5,000 souls to move on before she can move on. And there she meets Caleb, who she happens to kind of fall for without really knowing him, but then she discovers some secrets about him, and it's all really a page turner. It's very light and easy, even though it talks about death and stuff. I would say it's a very light and easy book. I read it in just a few days. Definitely not too deep, even if it's talk about death. Like, I don't think it was too deep. I think it was just a really fun, easy, quick read that I really enjoyed the concept of. I thought it was a pretty unique concept. Definitely something that is worth reading, in my opinion. The next book I got, I'm so excited about. I have already read this book, but I wanted to have a hardback version of it, like an old hardback, because this book has a lot of different covers because it's so old, and the author is Stephen King, so you know, he has so many covers for his works. And I looked at eBay and I found It by Stephen King in hardback. This is a used copy, but I do think it's in pretty good condition. I just loved this art style. I have It in paperback that I read on Halloween last year, I think. And I really enjoyed it, so I really wanted to get a hardback, like an older version, not the same cover as I have. So I found this one. You have young Stephen King. You can like see it's pretty old, but I just thought it was so freaking cool. I mean, look at this cover, the art style, the everything, the colors. I'm just in love, and I'm so glad to have this on my Stephen King collection. I just want to collect so many different copies of the books that I really enjoyed. So I really want to find a hardback of Pet Sematary that I like. I'm on the hunt for that on eBay. And other books that I liked with him, I want to get multiple copies of so I can have a big collection one day. The next book I got was Cytonic by Brandon Sanderson. This is the third book in the Skyward series. I thought it was going to be a trilogy, but it's actually known that it's going to be more books. So this was not the last one as I thought, but it was the third one. I'm not a big fan of sci-fi, but I really fell in love with Skyward and Starsight, so of course I wanted to pick up the third one. And I can't really talk too much about this one because if you haven't read the rest of the series, it will be spoilers. But I don't think I like this as much as the other two books, even though it was really cool. I know I love Spensa, I love the whole story thing, but I do think that the first two books were better in my opinion, as a not too much fan of science fiction. But this series is basically about Spensa, who is fighting for her dreams to become a pilot, and yeah, you follow her along with adventures and different creatures, different obstacles. It's just a really cool science fiction story that I definitely recommend. The next book I got was Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I read Riley Sager's Lock Every Door a few years back. That was like my first thriller book that I ever read, and I fell in love with it, even though that was a really simple thriller, I would say, but for me it was just a perfect thriller to start out with, which I do still think it is. So since then, I've been wanting to read all of Riley Sager's books, and I finally got my hands on Home Before Dark, which is like a new favorite of mine. If you have followed my channel for a while in my videos, you know how much I loved this. It's like such a good book, and it had a perfect amount of everything that you want in a thriller. You have two timelines, haunted house, a family that moves into this haunted house when their child is young, and they have to like fled the house after a couple of days. And then you jump to the future, and this girl is all grown up. Her father has just passed away and left the house for her, so she is determined to go back there to renovate it, to see what's up and everything, because she's too young to remember what actually happened at this house when she was younger. But her dad wrote a book about it that really sold well, and he wrote about all of the terrible things that happened, like ghosts, spirits, weird creepy things. So this girl is determined to find out the truth about this house, what actually happened in this creepy old haunted house. And please go read this if you're interested in thriller books or just like haunted house, creepy settings. It was creepy, let me tell you that. I was scared. It did what it was supposed to do, you know, freak me out. But yeah, I can never stop talking about this book. I'm never gonna shut up about it. Just please go read it. The next book I bought was My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. I've read Grady Hendrix, 2 books by him, I believe, and I did really enjoy those. And so of course I wanted to pick up this one. I love the cover. The cover gives off so many like 80s vibes, creepy horror flick vibes, or like fun horror flick kind of thing, which I think the book gave off too, because I actually have read this very recently. And yes, it had horror and like gruesome, disgusting moments, but honestly it read like a kind of funny horror flick. So I don't think it's a book that like gives you nightmares. It definitely wasn't a book that kept me up at night. Definitely wasn't a book that I was scared of. It did have some disgusting and horror moments, yes, but overall I thought it was like a fun horror flick. I don't know how to explain it. It read as a funny one. I don't know. I don't think it's supposed to be like that. I have no idea. But it was definitely a book worth reading, and a book that I will remember for quite some time. It did kind of remind me of The Return by Rachel Harrison, as I mentioned in my vlogs. If you have read that book and you enjoyed it, you might enjoy this one, or the other way around. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend to read it if you yet haven't. The next book I got was Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. I have not read this. I just recently bought it, but I'm so excited to get to it. Anything with the word vampire in it, I will buy it. And this has been on my wishlist for forever. I just haven't picked it up. And then I went book shopping one day and I saw it in store, and of course I needed to pick it up. I have read a few books by Jay Kristoff and I've liked them. They haven't been the best in my opinion, but I've liked them. But this is about vampires. I am gonna read it. I don't know a whole lot about the story in this. I just know that it has vampires, and I do think it has more creatures than vampires. I do think it's like a whole universe of creatures, I think. I hope that would be really cool. But yeah, as I mentioned, if you have the word vampire in a book, I will most definitely read it and pick it up. Spend money on it, yeah. Next book I picked up was Mermaid Moon by Susan Kokal. What actually drew me into this was the cover, and also another thing, are you ready? Boom. Oh my gosh, can you like see how beautiful those edges are? I was not prepared for that. I saw this, I've seen this on Amazon and I've had it on my wish list for a while, but they're like, I couldn't see the edges. And then I was at a physical bookstore one day and I saw it, and then I saw this and I added it to my cart immediately. I grabbed it immediately. I don't know too much about it, but I do think it's a magical and fantastical story about mermaids. I think it is inspired by Hans Christian Andersen's story, which is really cool. He's Danish and I'm Swedish. I just thought it was really cool. I grew up with his stories, so of course I needed to have it in my hands. I think this is just gonna be a perfect book to pick up whenever I'm in the mood for a fantasy, but not a too dark, big fantasy. When I am in the mood for a comfort fantasy that will make me feel magical and calm and cozy, I think this is going to be the book to pick up, and I am so excited to read it. Next book I picked up was Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky. This is the same author that wrote Perks of Being a Wallflower, which obviously we know it's iconic. I really enjoyed it. This is obviously not the same as that. It's a thriller, at least it looks like it. I don't know too much about it. What also drew me into this was definitely the cover, and I've seen it around on the internet, and when I saw it in this physical bookstore, I just really needed to pick it up. I've been on a thriller slash horror kick lately, and I've just been wanting to read all the books that's creepy and scary for some reason. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. I promise. But sometimes, you know, you find comfort in books like this, which maybe is weird, I don't know. But I've really been feeling like I'm drawn towards books like this recently, which is just great. And I don't know too much about it. I imagine it has something to do with a boy that has this imaginary friend, and maybe it's a ghost. I don't really know, but I'm excited to read it. Next book I got was The Book of Accidents by Chuck Wendig. Again, have no idea what this is about, but I saw the cover, was really drawn to it, and this is also a book that I've seen around on Bookstagram, and I've heard some really good reviews, but I don't want to know too much before going into this because I just want to be surprised. But looking at the cover, you can kind of get all these creepy vibes, maybe like a haunted house, maybe some creepy things going on, I don't know. But I do know that I'm really excited to read it. I love these type of paperbacks. It's so big, so floppy, and yeah, it's a pretty big book, so. But I can't wait to get to this and find out what it's actually about. And the very last book I got, I'm very excited about. That is Court by Tracy Wolff, which is the 4th book in the Crave series, which you all know I loved. I've read Crave, Crush, and what's the 3rd book? I can't remember. Crave, Crush, and Covet, and now Court. So I'm really excited to get my hands on this. In this series, in this world, we have Grace who attends this boarding school, and she soon discovers that this boarding school is not for ordinary humans. You have vampires, you have a lot of different other creatures, which I don't want to spoil if you haven't yet read this series, but you do have a lot more than vampires, and you have kind of a love triangle thing going on. You have scary things, you have competitions, you have so many cool things going on in this world, and I think it is a more fun version of Twilight with a little bit different things going on, but it does have a resemblance to Twilight. If you look at the first cover of like Crave, it really resembles the covers of Twilight, which actually was what drew me in the beginning to read these books, was the resemblance to Twilight, because you all know I love Twilight. So, but yeah, it's definitely not too like that, but it's definitely have a little bit the same vibes. But you do have a lot more creatures in here, you do have a lot more things going on, so definitely recommend this series if you're looking for something fun and not too serious. You have to like take it with a pinch of salt, I think. It has some cringy moments, I would say, but it's fun. It's fun if you know it, you know, it's cool. But yeah, that was it for my little or big book haul that I've accumulated over the past couple of months, and I'm so excited for all of these books. If you have read any of these, please let me know, or if you're wanting to, please let me know your thoughts. I would love to chat about them. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in one of my next videos. Bye.